Hello, and welcome to the Open Virtual Film Project. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use the runtime VR tools. The first thing to know about these tools is that in the Setup menu, there's a VR tool section where the operator can choose what each of your hands do, whether it's a navigation, teleportation, interaction, viewfinder, marker, measure, flashlight, or laser tool. We'll go through each of these tools as the video progresses, and you will also find a fly speed slider here, where you can set how fast you will be flying in VR mode. I'm going to set this to a low value. With those settings out of the way, I'm going to click the Start in VR Mode button. I can also hold Shift and click V at any time to swap between fly mode and VR mode. So, having jumped into VR mode and put on a headset, I can now look around just by shifting my head around. And since I set my hands to navigation mode, each of my hands has a laser pointer coming out of it and is denoted as a navigation tool by the N on the hand grip. Using this tool, I can point at various different objects, and if I pull the trigger on my handset, I will move in the direction of the laser. The harder I pull the trigger, the faster I move. At the same time as moving, now I'm pointing the trigger behind me, I can look around, and if I want to turn my body without turning my head, looking at the controller, there's a thumbstick. If I click into the thumbstick and then push right, I will turn 45 degrees to the right. Same thing with pushing in and going to the left. And this way I can rapidly turn my body around. If I'm using a Valve Pro controller, which has a touchpad and no thumbstick, just clicking left or right on the full trackpad will affect the same change. In addition to moving around with the trigger, if I have not clicked in the thumbstick recently, I can use the thumbstick to move forward, backward, left, and right. And the last thing I can do with this tool is if I click the menu button on a Valve controller, or the A button on an Index or an Oculus controller, it will open up a menu. At any time while you're using a tool, if you double-click the menu button, it will get you into the Interact tool, and if you hold down the menu button for 3 seconds, it will get you into the Navigation tool. With the menu open, I have various different tools that I can play around with, as well as a slider for changing my flight speed. So if I wanted to be flying faster, I can set this high. Slower, I set this low. I am adjusting this by hovering over the laser pointer, pulling the trigger, and it will shift around. The second tool that I'm going to work with is the Interact tool. It's the one that is also currently active. I'm going to select it. And now with my left hand as a navigation tool and my right hand as an Interact tool, I have a laser pointer. Moving around the scene with my interaction tool, I might come across something like this doorway with a different colored laser on it. If it is a green laser, that means I can grab the object and shift it around just by holding down the main trigger. If it is a blue laser, hovering over it and pulling the trigger will perform some form of special action, in this case opening and closing this door. All of this can be set up in the editor. Specifically, these doors are called interactable objects. The next tool on our list is the Viewfinder tool. So I opened the menu by clicking the menu button or the A button. Select the Viewfinder. And now I have a camera attached to my hand. Left and right on the thumbstick or the trackpad will change the lens available. And pulling the trigger will save some data for someone later to come grab this camera as a screenshot. The next tool on the list is the Teleportation Tool. With this tool, it provides a laser when you pull down the main trigger, and the ability to move around the scene in a different way. If I click in on the thumbstick and hold down, it creates this little object out in the scene, and rotating around the trackpad will change the direction that I end up in. In addition, if I feel that my height is too low or too high when I end up teleporting, on the keyboard, the square bracket keys, usually found next to the P key, will change my teleportation height. The left bracket will change it down, the right bracket will change up. So if I were to set my height to a more realistic human height and then teleport around the room, you'll see it maintains that height. In the realm of teleportation, I also have bookmarks, which can be accessed in the same way as the flying mode with the 1 and the 2 keys. Or if I open the menu and click the Camera and Bookmark tab, I can see there's the start of the hallway and the end of the hallway. I can click the targets to jump to those locations. The next tool in our lineup is a marker tool. If I select the marker tool, you'll see I have a sphere at the end of my controller now. Pushing the thumbstick away from me, or toward me, moves that sphere closer or further away. And if I hold down the main trigger, I will start drawing. You'll see when I start drawing over a surface, it intersects with that surface, and will draw on top of the surface instead of drawing through the surface. If I'm working, I want to delete one of the drawings I've created. If I push my thumbstick to the right-hand side and click in, you'll see it changes my tool to this X shape. If I am on a Vive controller, the same function can be had by just clicking the right side of the trackpad. And now, when I hold down the trigger, it deletes whatever the sphere intersects with. Going back to the drawing tool is as simple as going to the right on my thumbstick or trackpad and clicking in. If I go to the left on the trackpad, it will pop up a color wheel that I can then use my thumb rolling around to choose a color, and if I pull the trigger, it will set the drawing tool to that color. So now I have a lime green color to draw with. Coming back to the menu, the last of the tools in this section is the flashlight tool, which just provides a beam of light at the front of my hand for dark areas of a scene. Other sections in this tool is a spawn tab, where I can spawn a cube out in front of me. See, that cube is there. And if I go back to the interact tool, I could then grab that cube and shift it around. If I let go of the cube, it'll start using physics. And if, while holding the cube, I click the menu button again, it will freeze the cube in place where I left it. So I can leave the cube up in the air, or if I drop it, let it do its physics thing. Anytime I want to stop the physics, I click the menu button, and the physics will stop. The last section of the tool is the Interact Objects section, where instead of hovering over one of my interactable objects in the scene, I can toggle the interaction feature on and off. Then when I want to leave VR mode, I can either hit the escape key or hold Shift V, and that will get me back into flight mode. If I want to save any of the preferences that I have for my VR tools, I can come to the settings section, where I can set a default left-hand, right-hand fly speed, whether or not to disable the menu button, and whether or not to open the .exe with this help menu open. And then I can save my settings. So if I wanted to start with a navigation and a viewfinder, I could do that. Click save, and the next time I open the software, my hands will be navigation and viewfinder. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.